back to my channel. So I'm doing another book review, and this one is called Once Burned by Jeaniene Frost. And it's still like the vampire books I've been reading, but this one is actually a Night Prince novel. So it's called Night Prince because it's not about cat and bones like the Night Huntress, but it's still that same line, and even has cat and bones in the books a little bit. But this is about Vlad, who you've heard me talk about in the Night Huntress books. Cat and Vlad are really good friends, even though Bones and Vlad don't get along. But this one's about Vlad. And so the Night Prince novel series is all the ones that are about Vlad, because he was a prince. And then all the ones that are called, not that this is pertinent, but let me find it. The Night Rebel series are the books that are about Ian. So that's how you're going to differentiate. The Night Huntress are all about like cat and bones and stuff. And then the Night Prince series are all about the Vlad books. And then the Night Rebel series are all the Ian books. But they're all in the same like thing. So they're all a series together, and they all go together. So anyway, this is called, like I said, Once Burned. That's the book. And it's the first one in the Night Prince novel series, but it's like book, I don't know, like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So it's like book 11 that I've read so far, including like the ebooks and like those books. But yeah, it's so good, guys. I read it so fast, and I'm actually almost done with the next one, Twice Tempted. I only have 9 more chapters left in this thing, so I'll be doing a video on that one shortly as well. Okay, so this is about, it introduces a new character, so Layla, and Layla Dalton, I think it is. Yeah. And she's working in a circus, and I'll just tell you basically what happened to her when she was young. I won't tell you everything, but like she got zapped by her power line, left a huge scar all the way up, and because of that, she can electrocute people, and actually it can kill people, as well as some vampires. Like once the voltage builds up enough, it can kill them, like fry them from the inside out, and like they can like combust in flames. And so she can't really touch or be touched. And she also, anytime she touches with her right hand, sees images of like their worst sin, whether it's severe or not. And she can see people's past, present, future. And she kept low down on this, but then she actually touched a woman and saw, touched her husband accidentally and saw that he was planning on killing her that night, and so she saved her. And then her sister was actually a reporter, and so it got on the news, and so some vampires saw it, and 4 of them were hired by someone to go get her to try to find a vampire. So they were given her objects to touch, and she can either do it by touching the person or objects that they've touched and left imprint on. Even like if they've touched her, she can touch that part and find the person and connect with them. And so she didn't realize this, but she was looking, they wanted her to look for Vlad, basically. And so she was spying on him to see where he was currently, because they asked her to, and then also try to see his future, where he was going to be. And she knew they were planning on killing her after they got what they wanted from her. And then she realized, because he opened her eyes and knew she was there, he couldn't see her, but he could also hear her thoughts and just sense her. And because vampires, really old ones, can hear humans' thoughts. And so basically she told him what's going on. And so he's like, I'll come help you. Stall as long as you can. She was like in Florida. He was like in Romania. But she's like, well, why are you going to come help me? He's like, basically, I need to find out who was after me, that I didn't know anyone was after me. That I have yet another enemy, and so I've got to extinguish that. So that's why he was coming. And so she stalled for a long time, and then he finally showed up and killed all those vampires but one. And actually at this circus, who she performed with, her partner was a vampire midget. His name was Marty. But he saw her as a daughter, and she saw him as like a second father. She was estranged from her family. And he tries to attack Vlad to protect her so she could get away. But she stops him, was like, no, don't kill him. And so he didn't, but he tortured him to make sure he wasn't part of any of it. And once he realized he wasn't, he let him go, basically. But he had one of those vampires that kidnapped her and tortured him, try to get information who hired him, but he didn't know. Because it was just like, they got a lot of money and emails and stuff, but from a source they didn't know. And they couldn't really follow the electron trail. They tried, but this person was very smart and covered up. And so he told Layla, hey, with your powers, after she told him all her powers, if you help me find them, I'll let you go, and I'll protect you till then. She's like, okay. So they did a series of like investigating, and there's a lot that they did to try to find the person. So, and I'm not going to reveal everything, but while they're investigating together, they're like falling in love with, well, not okay. She's like, they're falling in love with each other and like really like each other. And he even tells her before, when she was trying to be like, please, I've never gotten to date or anything, and so I just have these natural reactions to you, but it's just because you're a man, and you know. And he's like, oh, really? So if you want, you can date any of my stuff if you want, to prove a point to her and to himself that it wasn't because of that, it's because she wanted him as much as he wanted her. And so she's like, okay, fine. And so one of his staff, like his most trusted, Maximus, was like, oh, I'll date you. And so they started dating a little bit, but she just didn't feel anything for him, even when they were physically kissing and doing stuff. She was like, yeah, no, Vlad was right. I feel this way for Vlad, not for just anyone. And when she finally admits that to him, he basically claims her as his, so Maximus can't date her anymore. And they become in a relationship. He moves her like in an adjoined room to his, and she keeps helping him trying to find who this vampire is. And then they finally get a break, and she finds through an object or something who this vampire is, but she doesn't know his name, and so she describes him. They get an artist to come draw him. He's like, that's impossible. This one is died. I killed him a very long time ago, like centuries ago. And after more digging, they find it is that vampire. He was made by the same one that sired him and Mercari's. And so this other guy that he thought killed has regenerative, that ability like Bones does from Mercari's, that he can shrivel up, you think he's dead, but then he can regenerate back. And then he kills someone else, like burned him and then buried his bones where Vlad had buried him. So Vlad ever went and looked for the bones, but then he buried up, brought those bones, unburied them, and she touched them and she's like, no, this isn't this guy, this is who this was. And it was someone else. And he was like, oh, he must have regenerative properties, because we were both made by Tenek, which is who made Cherries and him and this other guy and like a bunch of others. But so he's like, okay, he must be alive. And he had stayed quiet for centuries instead of trying to kill Vlad, because everything had been destroyed by Vlad, like his people, like everything. And so he had to keep the lowdown until he slowly built up people, a plan, all that stuff, to finally get Vlad, because Vlad had a lot, and he built up a lot, had a lot of people, a lot of money, a lot of connections. He had been a prince, so he just always had everything. And you also find out the other things he had done to Vlad even before Vlad was a vampire, was human and stuff, and I'm not going to reveal all that because it'll ruin it. I'm not going to tell you everything that happens in this book, but there's a lot of steamy that happens in this book. But she helps him find this guy, find out where he's at, and she actually got kidnapped. She actually got kidnapped by some of this other guy's henchmen and killed them with her electricity. And he'd been training her to use it like a whip, like the electricity to cut off their heads. Like Mercari does with this power, rip off their heads, but with the electricity, like, decapitate them, because that will kill vampires too. And so that's how she survived. But through their bones, she found out where this guy is and told him through mind linking, because he had kissed her, and so she just had to touch her lips to link to Vlad to tell him through mind that where this guy was. And so he went to this guy, and she went there too with Marty to save 2 of his men. And because of that, Vlad had protected her, and she wouldn't leave so he could fight this other guy. And this other guy played dirty. He hit detonator to bomb under them, and it wouldn't really kill him or Vlad, but it would lay them, so Vlad had to protect her. And by doing that, it helped get this other guy away, and they weren't able to find his remains or anything, so it's got to be alive and out there. And he escaped, but he like covered her in his aura basically, so she wouldn't bust in flame, but that stuck with her for a while and also inhibited her other abilities, but made it so she wouldn't get burned. And that's basically where it ended, and it was really very good. Lots of steaminess in here, lots of like longing, and it was just so good. It was so good. There was a lot of action. It was just really good, and I would definitely recommend it. It was a very good read. I definitely recommend to read this book. And I hope you hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell. And I'll see you guys.